A DNA test doesn't prove that a father is a father. I said a DNA test doesn't prove that a father is a father, because a father is somebody who always wants to bother. You see, there are many fathers who actually took a DNA test and found out that there wasn't the father, but they decided they still wanted to bother, so they still stayed the parent to that child. They still stayed the father to that child because they didn't want that child to be fatherless and add to the stats. And then there's other fathers. There's other fathers who took a DNA test and found out that they were the father but didn't want to bother, so they ran off and left those child lonely and fatherless. No one there to bless their hearts and their soul, because nothing takes the place of a father. And I know, I've heard them all. I know. Men come up to me and they try to tell me the story, well, why am I not there? And they tell me, yeah, man, yo, it was only a one-night stand. And I tell them, yeah, I can did that. It was a one-night stand, but that was yours and not that child's plan. So you need to be there holding that baby's hand. And I know, I've heard it. They tell me, look, man, I'm paying the child support. I can't be there, but I'm paying the child support, and my kid got Jordans on. Yeah. And I've heard it many times. Children have said, I'd rather my daddy be there and take these Jordans off. I'd rather have my daddy in my presence instead of these presents. And I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard it. You're still in love with the mother. You're still in love with the mother, and you can't stand her presence, so you don't want to be there at all, because every time you're with her, it just takes you into a state of depression. You got your kids in a state of recession because you ain't there. And your kids think you don't care, but it really ain't about them with you. You so worried about trying to get back with your boo that you can't see educating and raising your child and your children through. And I know, I've heard it. You can't stand the baby mama, and she creates all kind of drama. I've heard it. So you don't want to go around her because you think you might do domestic violence and you don't want to get DV. See, that's just an excuse to me. Because if you had self-control, you could make yourself feel whole, and you could be there for your child or your children, because you pretend to be a daddy only on Father's Day, every other weekend, or maybe twice a year, and the other times your children are just dropping tears. And I know, I've heard it before. The reasons why you can't be there, but to me it's a bore, because every child deserves to have a father in their life. So your daughter needs you to be there as an example, and when she becomes a wife, on how to treat her husband. And your son out there on the baseball field, hitting that ball, going to first base, second base, third base, and he slides in home looking for a high five from daddy to keep his soul alive, but he still feels alone because he's looking in the stands and daddy ain't nowhere to be found. And how about that little precious girl out there dancing and doing ballet, and when she gets done, she gets hugs and kisses all over her forehead, and she doesn't remember anything anybody else said because she didn't get a single word from daddy. See, daddy wasn't there to put his hands together and give a hand clap, so to her in the face, that's a slap. So, a DNA test doesn't prove that a father is a father. See, a real father is going to be there no matter what. A real father is going to be inside the cut. See, a real father will stand and say, this child deserves to be in my arms so I can keep them warm. Whether they're 1, 2, 3, 4, or 18, or even 25, I'll be there to keep that child alive. So, forget those DNA tests. Because like I said, a DNA test doesn't prove that a father is a father. A father who wants to be a father will always be there. And he says, I'm going to tell my children I love them from now until death, and that this man always wanted to bother.
All right. Yeah.